This is Andrea with Parking Lot Debrief. Okay. On this episode, I have Tamra and Ana. And long story short of how I got connected with these human beings, at a conference, I met Tamra. And so we connected, and then she brought along Ana to have a whole conversation because I've wanted to talk to folks who are in an ITP or just finished an ITP or are still working through all of that and what that journey has been like. Um, so yeah, I've got these folks on here. I'd love to hand it over. Give a short bio, anything you feel like sharing with people. Um, Go ahead.
I'm Anna. I started my ITP in 2018. I stopped during COVID time and came back August 2024, and I plan to graduate May 2025.
So you're still in a program,
Yeah.
stopped during COVID, like many people, I'm sure. Yes, still in a program. Great. And Tamara.
Um, I actually started in 2019 and went through COVID.
Mm,
Graduated 2021. That was a 2-year program, but knew that that wasn't um, really sufficient. And so I went back to school and I'll be graduating summer 2025 from a 4-year program.
4 year. And Anna, is yours 2 year?
Yes, 2 years, and I plan to start in September at a 4 year.
A lot of people are doing that. Because RID is requiring the BA degree. So,
Mhm.
where do I even start? Where do we start? Um, so you're in a program, had to stop through COVID, and you had to go through COVID, which many people can relate to that because a lot of people in this whole cohort that's just coming out are COVID ITP people. Um, a lot of pros and cons to that. And the bachelor program that there aren't many out there. I mean, there are a handful, but the one that's virtual at William Woods University is the one that many people can attend because it is virtual. Um, what has your experience been like? I guess how do I even start about where to begin and what an ITP felt like? And I know you guys are in a state from the South. Um, what has it felt like to go through an ITP? And learn a whole new language and a whole new skill and a whole new career. It's hard.
It's
Um,
extremely hard. Well, yeah, go Anna.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say it's extremely hard. I started with no language, no background in culture, and no connection to the deaf community. But I knew that I was being drawn to it after falling in love with it as a child. And so I knew that I wanted to go back and just experience this curiosity, right? Like to really scratch an itch, if I'm being honest,
Mhm.
but also just kind of see what else, how was it gonna evolve and how was it gonna unravel? And so when I did that, it was um, really good to follow a curiosity, but also very naive to think that the program was going to, take me from learning a language, a culture, and then also becoming an interpreter. So I think after my first 2 years, I was able to acquire um, like basic communication skills, but in no way was I ready to become like to be an interpreter. That's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
For me, starting out, my dad used to teach me the alphabets, like from age 4 up to 14. We did the alphabets every day. And I was like, is there a way I can do this as a job, my dad was like, I'm not sure. So, my first year of college, I went to Holmes Community College, and I was just going through the motion of being a college student. And I said, this is not something I want to do because I was just going through the motions. Like, okay, I'm here. So then I found out about it's not just sign language called interpreting. So I did my one-on-one interview, and from there I was like, yeah, this is something I want to do. But once I got into the program, I was like, do I want to stand up in front of people and be like, oh, is she doing it right? Is she certified? I was like, nah, I'd rather do it in a classroom one-on-one. And now I think I want to do it in front of people instead of just being in the classroom now. So,
Yeah, a lot of folks, that's one thing students often ask is, how am I supposed to know where I want to work? How do you know that? What have you found just from you have an advantage, Anna, of starting the program, stopping because life passes and you learn a little bit more and you get a little bit more ready, and then you join again and you have to pick up those skills again. But you at least are giving yourself a little more time with that. What would you say to students or to your peers or yourself of like finding what you want to do, where you want to be?
um, first of all, you gotta love what you're doing. If you don't love what you're doing, you're not gonna enjoy it.
Yep.
These past 8 months for me, it's been so easy than when I first started. So, making my options, I'm getting out more. I got my hands up more. So, be confident, and you'll really know. It's like second nature. You're clicking your head. Oh, yeah, that's for me. So,
Follow your gut.
yeah.
You got to
Yeah,
try
I
stuff.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only thing I would add is also follow your curiosity. I think if there's something that you are curious in, seek it out. And that can be hard because we are from the South and in the rural area. And so those options can be limited to one thing or, a certain group. But there's so many now opportunities outside of COVID that that are available. Social events are happening. And so I would say travel, if you can, make it an option. And not just yes to conferences, because conferences are so important. But travel for your interests as well. And I think that that becomes one of those things that is beneficial to you.
Yeah, because we had talked about that. Like you felt being in a rural area kind of stifled or like limited in the options of what you could do for hands-on, for learning, for all of that. And you've had the chance, Tamara, to go other places and do it. And I would even say I've taught in the middle of Michigan where it wasn't rural. And even those students are like, what do we do? Where do we go? Like, I feel like that's a thing that many people are kind of lost of what to do. And
Yeah.
that's travel. And some
Yeah.
people can't. But there's stuff online or you're finding resources. You have to find
You have
resources.
to. You have to. And I think even for the travel, I don't think that it has to be exhaustive, but I think that there is so many different events to save for a year and know that next year this is an event that you're going to attend or um even how we connected. I volunteered at an event that I didn't even know had an extensive accessibility opportunity. And so it's one of those things that you have to kind of think outside of the box versus wondering whether or not you're good enough or what's good enough for this particular area. So I think that that is I think that it is important just to keep an open mind. And like Anna said, you'll know it will click if it's for you, if it's not for you.
Yeah. And you even moved.
I did. I relocated.
And
The best thing. Oh my goodness, it's been the best thing.
And that's not an option for many, many people, but that is something I often tell people. If I'm like, if you are, I came right out of high school, went to college for an ITP, and then was 19 or 20 when 21 when I graduated. And like, I could have done anything. And I didn't go, and I should have gone. And like, I'm always encouraging students, go or go to Gallaudet. Go get your BA from
Oh,
there if you
yes.
can. So,
Mhm.
and it is different when you're young. I'm not saying you all we're not young, and I'm not saying you're not young, but you're not a 19-year-old who's in an ITP right now. And that's totally different when you have a family, when you have a home, when you have all these other things. That's always a good topic too. How to be a student and do all of this and
See,
still have a life.
I think that we have kind of ostracized the program and the profession in a way that isn't comparing it to professional um other professional schools and other professional educational structures. So therefore we're not thinking about going and sitting under somebody for observation or going in a residency program or things like that. But those things make a difference. Being able just to network and see different interpreters. Oh, the range of skill and the range of personality in an interpreter is also so validating for a student that they don't know that they need. It's just like in media, you see interpreters online or you see them going viral and you look up to them and this kind of like praise, which is, admirable because they've done the work, but it's not until you are able to see them in action, you're there observing them that you're like, wait, if they can do it, I can do it. And
Yeah.
so I think that's one of the benefits of just getting out there and networking and also just networking and putting yourself out there is so important.
Yeah.
I honestly wish I would have done it sooner.
Yeah.
I was back when I first started, I would travel a lot just to go to conferences. But back then, when I was thinking, oh, it's just for portfolio points, it won't matter after I get here. Now that I
Mm-hmm.
think about it, I said I should have did more traveling now than before. But I plan to go to different places now to get myself out there because I'm planning to take my BEI.
Nice. Yes. And I struggle. Always a struggle because I meet students and they're like, but I'm an introvert and I don't want to put myself out there. I don't like being out there. And there's plenty of interpreters who are introverts. So it's not like you have to host a freaking podcast. You don't have to. Like, you don't have to do these extravagant things, but you can go stand in the corner at the conference, like just to be in the space and say hello to at least one person. Because kind of that's how our field works. It's our name, it's our face, it's being in those spaces. They have to know who you are to even ask you to do the job. So
But I
that's,
think also, and Anna, you that's such a good point because I did the same thing. I was so hungry for the points and making sure that I um had the experience that I didn't connect personal interest to it. And so if there's something that I'm interested about, I'm an introvert, but until I'm not, right? Like I'm gonna talk about it all day, every day, if it's something that I'm interested in, and I'm gonna connect with people that are also like-minded and similar. And I think that there is even the other question of like, okay, if there's this off chance that there's an interest that doesn't have an interpreter, well, that means there's an accessibility need. And so what does that mean for, meeting that need? So I think that there is definitely um this really interesting spot that you're in, but when you connect that drive and that hunger and you pair it with what you're interested in, then that's the adage of them saying, you know, when you do what you love, you're not working. And I think that that's so important, and it's so real. Like, I've experienced that even as a student of like, okay, this is something that I'm interested, I love. Oh, this is a topic that if I wouldn't read a book on it, or you know, and it's a disconnect. So
Yeah, it's not fun.
not fun.
What would you say has been the best part of the of your program? Like what has felt good? What has been some good pieces of the really hard few years of going through a program?
For me, it's better just sitting in the classroom like I was before. We would just sit in the classroom and do work. Now we're going to this place, we're going to this conference, we're going to shadow this interpreter. That feels good to me because I'm not just sitting in I hate just sitting in one place. That
Hmm.
is so boring to me. But now I was like, oh, what time I need to be there?
Yeah.
So
Hands on, getting to actually do the thing. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, let's see. For me, it would be my program has recently underwent a restructuring, and it's been for the better.
Mm.
And so it took me by surprise because it had been kind of in the middle of the program, but now it's been one of those things that's like, wait, this is great. There's an in-depth approach that the program has to interpreting for all facets. And I think that's also been really important. And then the other side is the encouragement. I've had professors, I'm even with my online program, I've had professors reach out and say, hey, let's talk about this. And I think that that's a different um, win and motivation, the wind beneath our wings, so to speak, and motivation to know that there's not just someone coming in and going through the motions, but there's someone that's actually saying like, oh, I see what's going on. Let's work this out. Let's talk this through. Like, this is, you're seeing it as a hurdle, but let's see how we can get over that hurdle. So that's been really beneficial.
That's nice when they do it that way versus just tear you apart and then send you off. I mean, and I remember, I can't say it anymore that though I don't keep in touch with people from my ITP, but my best friends in life are interpreters and deaf people. So like I imagine you're close with your cohort or at least some classmates. And that's always when I got my master's degree, I'm still friends with the cohort. Like the relationships was almost worth the money of going to
Mm-hmm.
school. The skill, but like the people.
Yeah.
Um, what has been the hardest or most difficult aspect of being a student, of learning all of this and doing all of this and time and money and energy, like all of the pieces?
I really think in the beginning for me, it's feeling like I didn't belong.
Mm,
I knew that it was somewhere, it was something that I was um super curious about, and I was so eager to like dive in. And so but in that eagerness I was also clumsy, right, as a student. um but when there's not any connection with like something that I personally enjoy, or with people that, you know, saw my clumsiness and was like, okay, yeah, let's shape this, let's mold it, let's, you know, encourage it. It's that the hardest thing was in the beginning, feeling like there was no place for me as an interpreter. Um, Now the hardest thing that I've kind of mitigated, being in an online program, you can get lost because you're governing yourself,
Yeah.
right? Like you're not having to show up for a class during an assigned time. You're not, it's not being checked for an attendance. And so you can get lost. And you can become lazy with not having your hands up. And so there has to be a duality of doing the work and having time management, but also making time to invest in the community that you're in and having your hands up.
What would you say the hardest is for you, Anna?
In the beginning, just going out and meeting the deaf, like your teacher always say, go to the deaf community, you'll learn. So I was thinking like, if I'm learning in the classroom, they gonna teach me in the classroom to talk to them, and then maybe they'll get to know me once I get out in the community. Cause I'm just, I'm a loner. I don't want to be out there trying to conversate with new people. I like my old people.
Yep.
But now, the hardest part is trying to pay for everything and keep up with life too.
Yep.
So life payments, like bills and everything, and then trying to keep up with the workshops and pay for workshops and conferences. Like me and my classmates had that conversation the other day about the test because we were like, oh, we have to pay this much and then we got to pay some more again. It was like, but this is for the best. This is the way. This is our craft, so we have to do what's best for us.
Pay all for all these things before you actually are doing the job. That's always too hard. We're like, you have to have money now, even though you're not working, because you can't work yet. But I'm curious of what you feel like you don't belong in terms of what? Because of who you are, because you didn't have the skills yet, because like what felt imposter syndrome?
All of the above. uh, not having the skills, um, not having a connection with the deaf community,
Yeah.
right? Um, and wondering also just if I was even ever going to get to a place that I understood it, that it made sense, that it was, actually connecting. Now along that, I definitely had people, the deaf community was so impactful with saying, okay, you can do this. Like I definitely found,
Nice.
a network of friends in the deaf community, and even in the ITP program that was like, okay, we can do this. Um, but it was more or less that internal feeling, right? Like knowing for yourself that you belong, knowing for yourself that showing up is half the battle, but also doing the work and practicing to get the skills is the biggest part of the battle.
Did you feel the same, Anna?
I did. When I first came back in August, I was like, do I remember my signs? Are the deaf going to help me once I get in the classroom? And they're really helpful. I can say that if you do a wrong sign or you explain it wrong, they'll say, no, this the way you do it. This how you explain it. And that's comforting to me because I know you're there to help and you're not there to discourage me.
Yes. I think a lot of people go through that. Do I belong here? Am I ever? I always tell students it's almost like a roller coaster. I promise the first little bit's going to feel like we're just going up. And I promise there's a hump you'll get over and it will go, oh, and things start to click. And would you say now you feel more, okay, yeah, I belong here. I'm ready to do this. Is that how you feel now?
I'm quick to put myself out there. Like my teacher asked, like, who want to go first? Everybody's looking. I said, I'll go first because I'm more confident in myself now. I know if I make a mistake, I'm quick to correct it. So I'm gonna put myself out there first.
Now's the time. Now's the time
Mhm.
to mess up and fix it right now while you're in the
Yep.
program.
Yep.
Does it feel different, Tamara? I know it's an online program and you don't really see or each other, but like, does it feel different in the BA, the bachelor end of it, the bachelor degree end of it? Are there,
Yes,
yeah,
only, well, I can't say only. Yes, based on the thoroughness. It was a very thorough, like when I say it underwent a very um thorough process. And so now it's we're touching every aspect of interpreting in every subject area of interpreting. So it's not, I think in ITP, it was very topical and it was like, hey, let me just get you, information on this. But for the bachelor's program, for this particular program, they've gone and said, hey, we're going to talk about it, but you're going to walk away when you put in the work. You're going to walk away actually like experiencing this. And like the other part is, of course, coming to observations and things like that, but you really have a reference from the program to pull from.
right. You're actually then applying the stuff. And you said the thing of actually doing the work. Like that's the biggest part. And I think that's the shock a lot of people
Yeah.
realize. They're like, sign language is cool, pretty easy. I can
Yeah.
probably pick up the language all right conversationally. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but then you got to know all the different people out there that may sign differently. And then this subject. And then, oh, wait, I have to do it while someone's talking. So there's like, and I think that's always the biggest struggle for students is this is a practice profession. This isn't a math problem you can memorize and then pass a test and be
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Like this
Yeah.
passes through your body and your
Yeah.
brain, and you are showing your skills in that moment right now.
Yeah. I was telling, and a lot of people, because I've also had people to say or to advise, you take advice with a grain of salt, but I've had people to advise me not to return to an ITP. They were, wondering why I went back for another 4 years. And I think the reality is, and I say this to anybody that asks me about interpreting, it's a profession. Like this is a real deal profession. So there is work that is involved with like learning. There's a mind shift that has to happen. And there is also internal work. And I think that's one of the biggest things too that we don't talk about, that there's such an internal work that has to happen. So yeah, doing the work that's really what it's about, because every or a majority of the clients are so different. So there's not a one size fit all, or like you're saying, a cookie cutter approach. You have to be able to really kind of build a scenario new each time and go and work from that approach
Because you're learning something new every day.
every day, every assignment.
Mm.
And we have to be okay with that. Some people want this is a vulnerable profession.
Oh,
This is
absolutely.
it's not a go sit at my desk. I already know what I'm doing. It's the same things. It's you learn every day and it's
It's a
scary.
new thing, you change instantly.
Hmm.
Yes.
And I think even what Anna was saying that helped me with my internal work and to the vulnerability aspect are the mistakes are okay. It's how you as a person react to them. We all make mistakes, but if you're not well within yourself, it shows, and trauma leaks, and It's one of those, it really is. And I don't think that part of the dialogue isn't specified. It's not talked about enough. And so, um, for the people, like for the students that are going back, that decides to go back to the program or continue to push through, you become a different person.
Mhm.
And I think you have to.
I was taught this semester, make the mistakes now and think about it. Think about like, did anybody die? Did you hurt anybody? If you didn't do that, you're good.
Yep. Yep. It is interesting that that's not really talked about explicitly. But what's hard is sometimes, I mean, there's people are at all different stages of healing and their trauma in life in every profession. And
Mm-hmm.
people do harm in every profession with their own stuff.
Yeah.
Um, Ours is very directly applicable. It happens in the moment. And I really like that. I've never heard that. Trauma leaks. It does. It's going to touch everything we do if we don't take care of it. And man, do we see it in the profession. And it is like spotlighted when you're a student because you're scared, you're learning new shit, you're in the spotlight, people are telling you stuff. I cried, I think, almost every week in my program. Like, and I was 19. So it's like, I didn't know what the hell was going on at all.
Mhm.
And I feel like a
I'm
lot of people
super
can relate with that.
Yeah.
You have to have tough skin. You can't be sensitive with this. Nothing about this is sensitive. You just got to be tough.
Yeah.
And I'm sensitive.
I was gonna say I've honestly learned to be sensitive. I have, and I think that's the tough skin was, yes, you have to have tough skin, but I've also learned that if I have to have tough skin towards something, which means I am there's something blocking it, then why? Like that I'm investigating why um I can't be my whole self. And I think that's honestly how we kind of started our conversation. But I can't, and it's not just because another topic too, right? Of like being your whole self in this profession. But yeah, I've learned to be sensitive. The tough skin, I'm one I've literally like, wait, why do I have to be on the defense? That's what I feel when I hear tough skin and what has me defensive. Um, but then that goes back to the work, right? Like that goes back to the personal inner work that we're having to do.
That's the hard part of it's an associate's degree. Most of the programs are 2 years, and we don't have enough time to also have self-help classes, which we all need during these programs. Um, do you feel your programs are wrapping up? It's done, and then you got to go and you got to do. Do you feel prepared? In terms of the profession, I'm ready to join the profession and know what to do. In terms of skill, and in terms of just you've had opportunities, you're feeling prepared and you're kind of excited to do the thing, or more scared, or all of the above.
Uh, for me, I was like, I was scared, but now skill wise, I'm ready.
Nice.
But I still feel like when I'm when I graduate, I still feel like let me make a couple of more mistakes before you just throw me up there.
Yeah.
Because I don't want nobody coming up saying, "Oh, you did this wrong." I'm more prepared for somebody to come up to me, "Oh, you did this wrong," and I'm scared of that too, also. So I'm always asking my mentor, "What if somebody comes to say, "Oh, you didn't sign this right, you didn't do this right." It was like you just have to be prepared for it. I'm like, I don't know how to take it.
Yeah. When it's a real job.
Yes. And when I'm trying my best to put it out there for you to know, give the right information versus, uh, usually right.
Right.
So
Yeah. Do you feel prepared, Tamra? As best as anyone can?
Know where the first aid kit is
In terms of what?
in terms of I know the resources and the steps to take if there is an issue.
Nice.
And I
Yes.
think that is um made me prepared, or it makes me feel prepared. As far as my skills, I I'm a learner by nature. Like I love to learn. And so this is a great profession of always, wanting and needing to learn. And so I know that I'll continue to grow my skills and things like that. Um, but yeah, I know the resources. I'm learning the resources and equipping myself to like understand what to do. So
And that's huge because I'm sure none of us will ever be prepared. Like, who the hell knows what's going to happen at this job? Like, every job is a wild unknown, but that's huge to have your toolkit, or at least to even know I can say, time out. This is not working. Like, I feel like that's biggest fear is people are like, well, I have to do it and I got to get it right. No, you don't. Like, that's that's the biggest thing that will help you is you don't need to be perfect. You need to know the tools to get out of there and how to deal with this and find resources. Um, but yeah, what would you want to say to other students or even to your former self? Or like students often say, yeah, I struggle with voicing, or I'm not comfortable yet, or I'm scared to take the BEI, or there's no opportunities, or what would you want to tell other students in terms of getting through it? What did you tell yourself to get through it?
say you got this. I think that I didn't tell myself that enough. Um, I told myself a lot of other things that was not nice. And once I started to tell myself that you got this, or you're just, just show up and show up how you are. Yes, show up with the skills that you have, but show up knowing that that you are improving, and that's an active thing. Um, but you got this.
same for me. I'm quick to say I got this to prove people wrong.
Yes.
And in the back of my mind, I'd be like, "Oh, you got it. Just take it one step at a time, because this is your craft. You gotta want to do it for yourself. You can't want it for nobody else." So,
Yeah. That's always my piece of advice when I say when you're about to go into taking that BEI, have a little bit of an attitude of like, I'm going to show you exactly what I worked hard for. I'm here to do this because I worked my ass off to be here. Let me show you what I've got. Like, not in a cocky, I already know how to do it. No, but I worked really hard and I'm about to show you. Like, yeah. What do you want to do then? What do you want to do once you graduate? What's your plan? What's your hopes?
for me, continue school just to get more of that knowledge. And I plan to work at the same. If I can get somewhere, get at a church or do it at a community, that'll be fine with me. Because I'm still going to be interpreting either way it goes.
Keep your hands moving.
Yeah.
Um, I think one of the things that's been really exciting as I've explored, and I'm an adventurer, um, I see so many possibilities, and there are so many possibilities directly in the profession of interpreting or even adjacent to the profession that we're able to use our skills. Um, so I'm open. I think that's the thing. I I've always, or I'm more so in this latter part of my life, I'm really leading by curiosity. Um, but I know that I love accessibility and visibility and outreach and inclusive marketing. And so all of those things directly impact and serve the deaf community and marginalized communities. And so being a learner of life and exploring different things, yes, I'm gonna have my hands up. And so being a freelance interpreter is something that I want to continue to always do, but I'm also open to just seeing what else is out there.
That's a huge thing though, because a lot of students get pigeonholed of, well, I'll continue to work at the mall because that's what I know, or I have to be an interpreter. And that's a really hard journey too. But what a great point of interpreting and AKA sign language can be incorporated in this might take you to become an ADA specialist. This might take you to work at a deaf center. Like, of course, we need interpreters and we need you
Yes.
all here. We need interpreters. And, but sometimes that's not a match financially, lifestyle, but it could take you to so many different places. You
Yeah.
just have to be open to it.
Yeah. And it takes you away from the mall, right? I think that's the other thing too. Potentially, I think that that's a real thing. It gives you a broader understanding of what the profession um, touches.
Everything.
And so everything. And so I think that that becomes important as we're talking to students that are in the profession that's maybe feeling like, oh, I love this, but I don't know if I want to be an interpreter, but I know that I want to study, I want to do deaf studies or whatever the case may be. There has to be um encouragement for the advocates and the allies, and not just for interpreters, but in every space that deaf people are going to be involved in.
Yeah.
'Cause I just learned, you can be an interpreter on a cruise. You can be an interpreter on the amusement park. You don't have to be on stage just interpreting the news or just scary things and stuff like that. You can be fun.
Yes.
So it's a lot out there.
It's a
Literally
lot.
anything and everything.
Mhm.
Anything a human being does, a deaf person does, and they are there. Um, and it's true because as a student, you only are exposed to so much because you are just in this lane of being in school, and what's fed to you is what you see. And you've just had the chance to travel and go see stuff and go, oh my gosh, it's endless of what we get to do. Ideally, if you could choose what type of work you wanted to do, what would you do? What interests you?
What really interests me was the cruise because I just like cruises.
Yeah, a lot of work, but fun.
Yeah.
I know what I don't want to do after I experienced it. So
Yes.
I think that's
Those are
I'm de-
important.
yeah, I'm definitely not like the model student that XYZ. But I know once I've experienced it, if that's something that I would want to experience again. And that's why I'm an advocate for exploring. Like that's why I'm saying, like I tell people to touch everything because I was also very early on saying, oh, I would not want to do this. And then I was in a situation where I got to shadow and experience something. And I was like, wait, I could totally do this if I wanted to. And so I think that there's this, again, it's connected to growth. I think it's connected to how you see yourself and how you see the world and what you're willing to take on and experience. Because there's also the option of and the matriculation of going all the way to get your PhD. But we know that just because you get your PhD, that doesn't make you a, it doesn't equate into you being a skilled interpreter. But you can have both. And so I think that I don't know, that's my way of saying I don't know.
No, but that's good that students just don't hear it from other students or even often of like the possibilities are endless and you don't need to know now and that's okay. Go try some stuff, don't like it, leave. Try this stuff over here, put it on your yes list. Like that's exactly because I often get the question of like, well, how do I know where to start? And I'm like, I think that's the joy. We don't know. We don't know where to start. You got to start somewhere to know if that's the right spot. Um, yeah. What, I guess, would you say for folks balancing life and an ITP? Like, what were some tricks or things you did for yourself? Because I was 18, 19. So there wasn't much life for me to be balancing other than work. I literally worked at the mall. So, like, it was a different experience for many people who have families, who have lives, who have maybe had a career before. Yeah. How did you do it? Or what are some strategies
I'm
you?
gonna say ask for help. You are
Yes.
not an island.
Yes.
You're
That
not a, yeah. Yep.
support system
Support
you
system.
need, because going through this ITP, you don't. They tell us you don't need to be working, but I still find ways to work in my business. That's my outlet, so I won't just have my brain be like, whew. That's my outlet. My business is my outlet. So you need an outlet because it gets crazy.
Yes.
It gets crazy.
What helped you? I'm like going backward in my questions, but like what helped you hold the language? I think that's the harder part for people sometimes is you got to learn ASL and you have to learn interpreting, and often the language isn't built yet. What has helped you like feel more confident in the language itself?
I would say that goes back to the practice. And I'm not saying just, yes, deliberate practice, but also having fun, thinking of, think about it in a creative way. Um, how can you creatively apply it to your life, not just in this opportunity for, an assignment, but how can you apply it to your life that it then can be transferred into an assignment. But yeah, creatively kind of exploring it. And I know I've heard people say always thinking about it, um which, like, I agree with Anna, you need a break, but when you creatively apply it, then it's not one size fits all. You can have so many different options and you get to ball it up and throw it away and start over because it's a creative process.
Yeah.
You got. I feel like you got to be passionate about it in order to do it. But memory wise. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Um,
It is because some people,
yeah, language. You
you
have to
what?
play with it. I
Play with.
play with the language.
Yeah.
Like people come around and say, "Oh, teach me. Can you teach me the bad?" No, I don't know all the bad words. I don't know. I don't know slang, but I'm learning it now, and I can only teach you the right way to do it. So,
Yeah, playing with it then indicates you understand the language. Like that's when you know you're at a place that you can actually play with it because you have a handle on it. Um, one last question of like, what would you, or anything you want to say about being a student, your experience, what others may want to know, or I guess just any last words of you're in it and you're soon to be out of it and you're going to be my colleague and that's exciting. Like, what is anything to add to just with all of that? I know you guys all
No.
said the goods already.
Yeah, no, I think one, I was thinking even in this process of like us doing this interview, for me, it's not me saying that I know everything or I've arrived at a certain area or a certain level in the profession and now I can talk about it. I'm still learning, still making mistakes. And so as a student, again, we're a student of life. So we're still learning and we're still making mistakes. And that applies to everything that we do. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to do this podcast. And people, I asked people to come on and they're like, but I'm not an expert in that. And I'm like, I want an expert of your experience. And like what you have all said for this last hour, so many people will feel the same. And that's why I want to do this podcast. So someone goes, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. Yes, that's what's exactly what we're feeling as well. So that's really the whole point is your experience is often shared with others and so people don't feel so alone. But I do like to ask at the end of episodes for folks to highlight or talk about a deaf owned business or deaf influencer or deaf organization, just so folks can check it out. So, Tamara, do you have one you want to highlight?
Yeah, so Sign Your Truth. It's an ASL live stream. It's on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and I think it may be coming to some other platforms, but that has been just a really good resource for learning and also growth for myself personally, and then also within the deaf community.
And it's just like a deaf podcast of people
Yep.
chatting about hot
Mhm.
topics.
Mhm.
Good, receptive practice and good content to take in. So,
Yeah.
sign your truth.
Yeah.
Nice.
By deaf people. And it's in sign language
Mhm.
and but they have voicing interpreters. Um, so yeah.
Good stuff. And who do you want to highlight, Anna?
her name is Dre Hollingsworth. I love seeing her on Instagram, TikTok. Her and her daughters. Her daughter's not deaf, but she is. So I learn a lot from her. So,
Yes. I think I remember seeing their stuff in like a lot of comedy, like
yeah,
skits
on
and
TikTok. Yeah.
Dre Hollingsworth. I'll put that both of those links in the show notes so people can check those out. But um I want to ask all the questions. I just, you all are at the end of the journey of finishing a program and getting stepping out. It's the people who are just starting the program who are this are scared and like that feeling of starting fresh and all of that. So I hope all of this was at least encouraging of like you can do it. See, people do make it through and you will to get there. So I appreciate your time and your thoughts and your wisdom and the things you all said. So thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you.
Awesome. Thanks.